Yo, what's going on, boys? Collision here. Welcome to our Kansas City Chiefs defensive breakdown. Now, guys, I will make it known that I really do change up my formations quite often. Not really too much to playbook, but throughout games, you guys will see me either playing dollar, which I've honestly been taking up recently. I really haven't used too much dollar. As you guys see by my play calls this year, I've dabbled in it time to time, but it's never really been my primary defense. But lately, we've been using it, forcing ourselves to play with it a lot more. I have gotten a lot more comfortable with it, and I want to show you guys some breakdowns against bunch and trips that we can use with this defense as well. I love dime normal. We made a video about this formation in particular probably about a month ago, maybe a month and a half ago. Really enjoy this formation. This is here as well, so if you want to go check out that video, feel free to do so. And then, of course, the 4-3 even 6-1. I love this. This is a nice, simple defense that you can run just for sheds. If you're struggling on defense, this is a nice place to kind of pick back up and then get back into your rhythm. Really easy stuff to run. I kind of like to run it a little bit differently than what most people do, so we'll talk about that as well. But to begin, we will go ahead and start with our dollar defense. Now, I will make known that right now the stamina, or whatever, the fatigue glitch, whatever we're calling it right now, is in effect. I do believe that this will be patched, but if you guys are playing right now, just know you're going to want to get some weight here at end, or pretty much just in the trenches. Might want to go ahead and try and get your Julius Peppers here at the blitzing linebacker for the A gap, but just keep in mind, I do believe that this will be patched and it will be corrected, but still just wanted to make a notice going forward. So let's go ahead and begin here. Just for bunch, I am in the Philadelphia Eagles playbook. Once we finish covering bunch, I will go on to probably go back to spread and show you guys, or maybe not even spread. I'm probably going to be jumping around different playbooks so we can talk about how to guard against each formation, at least each meta formation. So let's go ahead and begin with gun bunch. Let's just start here with double post. A lot of people's base play, a lot of folks love to run this. For this setup, guys, my defense right now, I have auto flip off, auto baseline, option on conservative. I like my flats at 30, I like my curl flats at 5, and I love hooks at 20. We've been talking about this a lot this year, especially at the start of the season. I still love this adjustment. I think it's really good. And then I always leave my match on. This is going to be nice in case you guys do want to run match. I love zone. I think zone is just really good. So typically I don't run match, but we'll still cover it. We'll still talk about it. But for me, I just feel like having match on also helps against certain bomb plays. I don't know. It's just my thing. We've talked about it on the Discord. I feel like having match on can help prevent certain type of deep posts getting open over the top with how your outside thirds play. So that's just my kind of superstition. So I leave this on always. And if we ever reset our play, that will go ahead and turn off the zone drops and turn on match coverage if you are in a matching play. So without further ado, this is kind of a long intro. Let's go ahead and get into it. All right, fellas, so to go ahead and begin, I will say, because this formation is new to me, my audibles currently, I like to have cover 2 drop in here. I like to go ahead and get cover 4 drop as well. And then typically here in my blitz, I don't run too much man in this formation, so I'll go ahead and put DB fire here, and then I'll go ahead and just leave this cover 2 man as well. So these are my audibles here. I do like to have both cover 2s. This is obviously personal preference, but when I run this, I love having cover 2 drop in case I want to go full conservative zone. And then I like to mix in this for the blitz as well. But my base play is always going to be the free safety zone blitz. I will go ahead and put on screen what formation this blitz is in, but I am in the Chiefs. All right, boys, I wanted to make a quick cut regarding the FS zone blitz setup because when I initially recorded it, fatigue was kind of going crazy. Since that has received a hot fix, I wanted a cleaner setup, so I wasn't, talking about it because now it's irrelevant. So to begin, I'm just going to go ahead and come out here in Y curl. Once we cut back to the original footage, I'll be in the Eagles playbook where we're going to talk about more relevant plays. But for this, we're just going to need the setup, so don't worry about the offensive play call. But again, setup here is going to be at a FS zone blitz. And now all we're going to be doing for this setup, guys, is we are going to press our defense. That's going to peel back off the free safety. You're going to pinch your D-line. Do not crash them. Just simply pinch them. And then we're going to go ahead and back off this right side slot corner. Press wire triangle, and then A or cross. Then you're going to select the point receiver and then manually back him off. That point receiver is going to be RB. Now, all you're going to do to finish it is go ahead and put your free safety in a zone. Depending on what your opponent's doing, you can put them in a hook. You can put them in a deep half. You can man them. Whatever applies. We'll get into that here in a moment. But for this setup, this is all you're going to do. Then you're going to go ahead and get into the A gap here, hover, and then go ahead and peel off, and you guys are going to see you're going to get pressure there off that left side A gap. So I'll go ahead and just say it one more time before we cut back to the original footage. You're going to press, pinch, back off the right side slot, zone that blitzing safety, and hover. That's it. Super quick setup. Go ahead and hover. Right there, they picked it up. Shout out to the O-line. But typically, in game, you're going to get easy pressure. Now let's go ahead and get back to the coverage footage, and I'll see you guys soon. Peace. All right, boys, so to begin the bunch defense, we're going to be coming out here in the $3-2. These are going to be our coaching adjustments. We're going to have auto flip set to off, auto baseline on when we're running the $3-2-6 option, always on conservative. Flats are going to be set to 30. Curl flats are going to be set to 5. We're going to go from 30 to 25, kind of depending, but typically 30 for me is just the way to go. And then hooks, I love these guys at 20. We've talked about it pretty much all year. I think this is a great adjustment, especially against people who don't take the underneath, who just kind of want to force it more across the middle of the field, even to the seams. This is going to be a great adjustment for us. And as always, leave your match on. There's a lot to this. If we leave match on, we know that having zone drops on as well will turn off our matching principles. But if you reset your play, if you're calling a match play, your zone drop mechanic will turn off if we reset the play, and then match, of course, will turn on because we are resetting to a matching play. It's very important you have match set on and not just default. You need this on. I can't stress it enough. For our first setup, just like we covered with the blitz, FS zone blitz is basically my stock defense. This is going to be my go-to. Like I showed you guys in the audibles, I like to have DB fire in here as well, cover 2 drop, and then man. And then I like to have my cover 4 in here as well. So with that in mind, let's go ahead and begin. Now, going up against double post, just because I feel like this is still a very commonly run offense here, we're going to call free safety zone blitz. Again, our setup here is just going to press. You're going to pinch, get this linebacker back into his original spot, and then back off the slot. And we're going to go ahead and zone our safety. Now, for this setup, typically what I see is a setup where you're going to have maybe a streak here on the left side, and then you might have a motion snap with this B receiver who goes out. So there's a bit here to cover. What we do know is if we decide to go with the hook curl, again, this safety here is going to be like your kind of joker card. You can really put them on anything. You can put them on a hook, you can put them on a deep half, you can put them on a inside third if you wanted to mess around with the safety instead of the linebacker. Inside quarter, you can man him up, you can really do anything. But like we covered with the hook set to 20, we know he's kind of going to lurk around a little higher than underneath. So he can do a really good job covering the crosser here by our point receiver, as long as we start kind of, scraping and carrying with him to start and then playing other areas of the field. So just to begin, I'll go ahead and show you guys this read progression. I like to kind of play underneath and then go ahead, pass him up to the vert hook and then get back on the running back. Obviously, I know that happens quick with the blitz in mind, but just that hook curl, when we set the zone drops to 20, he's going to do a great job as long as we play the crosser to start. Then we kind of want to get in between this kind of angle route and then in between the angle route and the running back. You see we're kind of covering 2 players here. If we went up a little higher, probably would have been a bit better, but you guys see for the most part we have these plays covered. And then because we're leaving the stock curl flat here, he's going to be on guard with the tight end. Obviously, if they pick up your blitz, you're going to have a problem later on here with this wheel getting open, because this type of post / like Texas route is pulling this outside third towards the inside of the field. So you got to keep in mind that that is going to be an option as well. Of course, we're going to break that down and how to counter it. But before we do so, I want to continue talking about the actual vertical threat of double post and how they're going to try and take the top off the defense and get over that hook curl. So you're going to get a little bit of a offensive guide here with bunch. I don't run much bunch at all, but still, you got to know a little bit just so we know how to cover it. Now, if you go with this setup like we talked about, if they do a combination like this B receiver is going to get over top of that hook curl. It's important to know that. That's when we can mix in the deep half. So as you guys see here, I'm going to go ahead and run our blitz like normal, but I'm only going to send 3 because I don't want the pressure to get here. I want to show you guys how B gets open here over the top. So let's say they pick up your blitz. You have just a little bit of time. You're not going to have any problem here on offense to get this ball over the top. If we go ahead and exchange the hook curl for a deep half, you guys are going to see we're going to be able to cover that absolutely golden perfectly. So just keep this in mind. With this setup, I'm not always sending the A gap. Typically, if we're, finding success with it, we're going to try and stay on them. But it is also important to mix this up. So a setup like this, where we know they have an underneath with the tight end on the flat that basically turns into a wheel. They have a shot to go over the top with this post route with B. you know, sometimes sending the house against a big play is the move because we're not giving the offense time to have their routes develop. But sometimes, and I think this is where this scenario happens, you do want to play more coverage and then just hope that your defense sheds. So what I'm going to do in a scenario like this is we can go ahead and put our backed off safety in a hard flat. He will go ahead and do his 30-yard drop back because we have it set. We can go ahead and put our linebacker here that we would be using in a purple, or we can man him up to the tight end. Choice is really yours. I'm going to put him in a purple, and now I'm going to go ahead and leave the A-gap blitzer in his blitz assignment, but instead we are going to user him this time. Now again, if you are only sending 3, you guys need to know you need to have your user blitz, and you need to make sure that the pass rush points bars are above his head. If he is too far back, you're going to get a stock 3-man rush, and that stuff is garbage. Okay, if we go ahead and get into the gap, we see these bars on top of our head. The game's going to think we're sending 4. We're not. Your pass rush is going to be better. So now in a situation like this, we'll go ahead, snap the ball, and you guys see if they dump it off to the tight end, that's going to be covered by the purple. And then if we go ahead and user kind of the running back first and then peel off to the post, we'll go ahead and cover those 2 routes, and then we can kind of give up on the B post because we know he's going to be going ahead and running into the deep half. So as you guys see here, even as this tight end develops, right here, he does find an opening here. So like I said, depending on how your opponent is hitting this tight end and how he's reading the field, it may be smarter to man up this linebacker to him in the purple. But as you see, if he takes too long to make this throw, we're going to have our 30-yard zone drop here to make a play. If he throws the ball here, he's going to go ahead and react to it. Depending on if you have a KO, you might be able to break it up. But as you guys see, there is a soft spot here, so you may want to consider manning up this defender. Just know if you man up this linebacker, you're going to put a little more stress on yourself to take the running back and this deep post, because there are weaknesses to this coverage shell. But still, this is a setup I like to mix in. I do mix in 3-man a lot in this formation. You guys are going to see that. So mixing in the A-gap and just simple 3-man coverage can really help your defense a lot and kind of, you know, change up what the offense is expecting. Now, if they are trying to kind of go with this crosser and take advantage of you there, another setup I like to do is once we get our blitz set up like normal, what I'm going to do here is I'm going to go ahead and put my safety here on a curl flat, or a hook curl, sorry. And I'm going to take the short side, so the solo side, slot corner. I'm going to back him off as well. So to do this, we're going to go ahead and select Y and then A for individual. And we're going to go ahead and select Henry, the running back, and we're going to back off from there. All right, I did not know that. I guess that moves the linebacker, my fault. So we're going to manually move this slot corner instead. As you guys see, if we go ahead, bring him back, put him on a hard flat, he will not retract. He will play over the top there. So if they're trying to attack you from RB here, I'm going to go ahead and get myself on the line. And let's say they do a setup like this, where they try and spread out the field a little bit so they can try and hit the crosser, and then maybe get your user to peel back on the post and try and hit you on RB late in the play. You guys are going to see we're going to have that 30-yard cloud flat playing over the top and helping us out there. This is just something I like to mix in. It is important to know, though, that if you guys are going to be running hard flats from the seam, they will drop back. But as you guys see, it's not like he's going really to the, you know, outside sideline. He's kind of staying a little more in the seam, which we can use this to our advantage. But just know it's not like this guy's going to go out here and play a corner out perfectly. It's definitely more designed, in my opinion, to kind of guard kind of in between the numbers on the outside and the sideline, kind of in this little median part. So just keep this in mind if you want to try and take advantage of the hard flat from this part of the field. And then, of course, if you're going up against something as simple as 4 verticals, honestly, the base blitz setup that we mentioned is going to do a really good job here. I'm going to go ahead and just reset the play here because I think I accidentally hit the safety and he's stuck in position. But having the safety on the 20-yard zone drop is going to play phenomenal against the crossers. I'll show this to you guys now. Do the same exact adjustment, something like this. And as long as you have a good touch with your user and how to operate against the bunch, where if we go ahead, call verticals here, and you just know kind of what to take away, I like to take away RB, A, and then running back. By the time you pass up the RB point crosser, that safety is going to be in position where we play point, then we pass them up, we go tight end, and then we go back down to the running back. And within this time, we're literally covering 3 receivers, and he's not going to have anywhere to go. We have the 5-yard purple here on the outside protecting against the wheel. If he's still getting open against the wheel, all you're going to do is just simply, you know, bring him outside a little bit, just like this, and then shade over the top so he gets into the curl. That should help you out a little more. and then you guys can just run this again, and then I'll try and just snap throw this here to B, and you guys see we're just in position to make a play with that slot corner. So again, you know, we don't absolutely have to stay in cover 3 as well. We can mix in Mabel with cover 2, but I think that just this cover 3 alone, when you mix in Mabel, can do really good against corners as well. So if we're going up against something like, I don't know, let's say just curl flat, we'll put a backside dig, something like this, and we'll block the running back. So if you're going up against something like this and you're struggling, this is where, you know, I say, as I just messed up my defensive setup again, this is where, when I was talking about earlier, sometimes I simply just mix in just a 3-man rush. So what we can do for this setup, if they're in curl flat here, I'm gonna go set up my defense first, and then I'll go ahead and fix the offense. But if this is gonna be their play call, say they motion out this guy to help with the separation, they go ahead and put X on a backside dig, they block the running back, okay? And then to pick up the blitz, let's say they slide right and then double team. I should have mentioned that earlier. I'll put that in the pinned comment just so you guys know how to block this as well. But if this is what they're going to, and let's say they're somehow frying us, right? We can go ahead here and we can go ahead and put, let me make sure I have the right controller. I'm slipping right now, boys. We can go ahead and put Mike Evans here, our right side slot who we backed off, put him in the hard flat. Now you're gonna put your hovering user in the purple, and then we're gonna go ahead and user the linebacker. Now I know this is a tell, but as you guys are playing your game against your specific opponent, and we're changing up what zones are doing what, we're kind of, you know, mixing it up. I honestly think these tells are going to be okay as long as we are, you know, changing and cycling our defenses and keeping the opponent on his toes, because every single time we change up a zone, who's playing the zone, that's going to make the post-snap progression for your opponent take even longer, and that is going to be a win for us. So it's okay mixing these things up as long, I think, as you are backing off that corner in the slot every single time. That's going to be kind of, in my opinion, one of the main indicators that you are kind of bluffing that blitz. So just keep this in mind. A setup like this is going to do great to cover the flood on the right. You have the linebacker here, Roquan Smith, playing the underneath on the flat with his 5-yard zone drop. And then you're going to have Mike Evans here guarding that corner the best he can until, you know, you get your pressure through with your 3-man up into that point. So, you know, and if you are afraid of some type of deep bomb, you know, out of this look, against bunch, just remember you can always put this hook curl here on a deep half, and if you want, you can put them on a middle third and then put your other safety here on a deep half. These guys are very much, you know, interchangeable. Just know when you do an approach like this, you're going to put more stress on yourself in the middle of the field, and that may be problematic. So if you know there's going to be something like a backside dig, you may just want to go ahead and man up something like this, and then go ahead and use your linebacker here, peel, and then go ahead and just try and, you know, do your best to play coverage right there. The corner did a really good job getting open. If you are, you know, if your zone is just not getting there, you may just want to consider manning it up or running a Mabel coverage. It's very much just dependent on how your offense or your opponent's offense is running it, what type of calls he's running with his corners, if they're getting too deep over a Mabel or what. If you are going to man it, I would recommend doing a setup like this, where you guys can go ahead and back off him again, and then we're going to go ahead and man up the purple on this point receiver, and then we're just going to go ahead and do a individual shade underneath, and then we're going to go ahead and press outside, and then you guys will see here that's going to be a better man coverage assignment against the corner route. So I'll go ahead and show this to you guys, then we'll go ahead and move on with our other defenses. But let's say they come out in the flood again, set up just like this, you guys see. And then I'm just kind of trying to focus here so you guys can see how the man coverage will play the corner with that underneath and then outside shade. So you guys see something like that. I get pressured, but that underneath and then outside shade is going to do a great job against corner routes that your zones just cannot reach. And sometimes that is going to happen depending on if, you know, they're running flood out of the bunch strong that has a really deep corner route, and certain plays like that that are just kind of in various formations. Just make sure you guys mix in those man coverages as well. And yeah, let's go ahead and move on. Actually, real quick, I will cover DB fire here as well before we cut, and just mention how I like to do this. You should know if you are going to audible to DB fire out of the FS zone blitz, your free safety will stay low. So you need to know that. In MUT, that may not always be a problem because you have speed, but if you're in CFM or regs, you can get torched by this. So just please keep this in mind. But again, a DB fire here against I mean, pretty much just everything we just talked about. You're just going to want to go ahead and baseline and then press back off your corners. And then I like to just go ahead, pinch and hover. I know some guys like to crash down, crash down. Some people like to do that. I honestly find just as much success leaving them on their stock assignment. So I really just press, pinch them for the most part. And then whatever that bunch side is on, you can go ahead and Mabel that side and then do something like this. Just know if you are Mabeling here against cover 2, verticals will absolutely shred you unless you are using the bunch side. So you just got to keep it in mind. This is something I like to mix in depending on my opponent, but honestly, throughout the course of the year, as time has gone on, I feel like people have gotten really good against cover 2 Mabel, and I think you guys are going to have a lot more success using the cover 3 with deep out knockout abilities and so on. So we'll cover cover 2 and Mabel later, probably more so with the 6-1, because I feel like that's where it's a little more fitting, just because I don't necessarily run too much cover 2 out of this dollar. Really like the cover 3 blitzes. All right, guys, welcome to the match coverage portion of the Trips tight end defense. Basically, gentlemen, today for match, we are going to be covering cover 4 palms. We're going to break this down, and hopefully, honestly, like maybe under 3 minutes, you will understand cover 4 palms if you watch this portion. Go ahead, skip it if you do know the principles already, and go ahead and move on to our dollar. But for dollar, we're going to be breaking down cover 6 show 4, and then for nickel over, or honestly any other formation that brings palms, you're going to have this as well. So gentlemen, for your coaching adjustments, leave these as is. I know that zone drops cancel out match. If you have match on with your zone drops and you select palms, then hit your audible and reset play, your zone drop mechanics will abandon and you will have a matching palms. Okay, so just keep that in mind. That's why it's very important to have both of these on, because at any point, if you want your match, you can go ahead, reset, and have it. So let's go ahead and begin. So cover 4 palms is of course going to be the start of this, and I'll go ahead and select just verticals to keep it super simple. All right, let's begin. Now I'm just going to go ahead and reset my play to start. That's what you're going to do if you want your matching on. And then to keep it simple, I'm going to go ahead and just unbaseline, so that way we have an actual normal look. So basically, guys, what we have here is our receivers number 1, 2, and 3. Outside receiver is going to be number 1. Your middle is going to be number 2, 85 there. On the inside is going to be number 3. Your number 1 receiver will be played by this outside corner, okay? This outside corner will be in what's called a Meg assignment. This is man everywhere he goes. No matter what 81 does, this corner will play. If it's a deep post, out route, slant, whatever, it's going to get played. All right. Shout out to my boy Steven, the Society, for helping me understand these concepts about maybe 2 months ago, maybe a month ago. Shout out to my boy. Let me get back to this now. Okay. Now, number 2 here will play the number 6 jersey receiver. If he goes vertical, he will follow through vertical. Now, what's important to know is I think vertical, and forgive me if I'm wrong, it's got to be somewhere near, I think it's plus 8 yards. I could be wrong. If I am, please somebody put it in the comments. That'd help out greatly. Just don't have my notes with me. But basically, if number 2 goes vertical, Devin Hester will follow him through, okay? Same applies for number 3. If this 85 guy goes vertical, Jesse Bates, our safety here, will match him and follow him through, all right? Now, if number 6, the number 2 receiver, goes underneath, let's say he's on an out route or a drag, something more under, Hester here will play that. So if he does a 5-yard out, Hester's going to follow it. Then, if 85 goes vertical, Bates will follow it. If 85, number 3, goes underneath, let's say he's on a 5-yard out, Hester will play it, and then Jesse Bates here will play the number 2 receiver vertical. So basically, Jesse Bates here, our safety, and our nickel or slot corner, they both have assignments on 2 and 3, and then they're going to pass them off depending on how number 2 and 3 are playing. So basically, you need to know both are guarding each player until the snap, and then the play evolves. So if I do something as simple as just playing verticals here, you guys are going to see Hester's going to follow through in the man, and then our safety is going to match and then play that man. So you guys see how that operates. Now again, like I was saying, if one plays underneath, let's say I stay in 4 verticals and I go ahead and put Hester here on an out route, okay, something like this. Okay, what's going to happen here? Safety is going to follow through on number 2. The slot is going to go ahead and bite and play underneath to guard Hayward Bay. We're going to go ahead and snap this. You guys see, purple goes underneath, safety plays over the top. This is just the simple bare bones breakdown. This is going to help you against a lot of novice trips tight end players, so I felt like it was important to break it down. Okay, and then again, if I do something like this, all right, and then I'll put X here on a curl so you guys see how the Meg defender operates. Something like this, you guys are going to see this out route here is going to get covered by the purple. Free safety is going to take the 3, and then the Meg is obviously going to play man coverage against the 1. Go ahead, snap this here. There's your out covered. There's your curl being played in man-to-man, and there's our vertical match coverage shading going up. Okay, so wanted you guys to understand how this works. Now, finally, one thing I didn't point out is your tight end, depending on if he goes vertical or underneath, will be played by this free safety here, Peppers. So basically, if your tight end goes verticals, Peppers will play him, and then even if he goes underneath, Peppers will play him. Okay, so if I did a combination like this, okay, and I go ahead and turn on my match, you guys are going to see Julius Peppers here after I snap this ball. He's going to haul ass and then follow Tony Gonzalez on this play. Obviously, there's huge separation there, okay? But just know that will be played. Now, if I do something like this, when things start to get a little more tricky, if I go ahead and bring out Gonzalez here and then have him out here alone, he will now be played by this corner. Now, it's not necessarily a Meg assignment. It just depends on what type of offset is being played. This is obviously trips tight end with the tight end going out, but you guys see if I did a combination like this and I go ahead and reset my play and turn on my match and snap this, you guys are going to see how this corner is going to go ahead and follow through in a Meg assignment. But if I were to come out in something like you know, just trips offset out of I mean, heck, I can do it, I think, even out of this playbook. I think they have it. I'm currently in New England. If I do something like this, the tight end flex, and I have this tight end going out, if I did a combination like this, and I go ahead and set up my defense like so, you guys are going to see the outside corner might play him for a minute, then he's going to go ahead and pass him off to that safety again. So just keep this in mind. That's important to know when it comes to what type of trips you're going up against. But for this, I just primarily wanted to break down palms against the trips tight end. So now, after this, let's go ahead and go to the cover 6 show 4 out of $1. Alrighty, fellas. Now, with the cover 6 show 4, I need to be brutally honest here. I got this from K-Mac. I watched this guy see this coverage. I love it. I took it from him. I stole it. All right. So shout out to K-Mac. This is from what I know. I'm just going to say his setup. But cover 6 show 4 is going to be the play. Now for this, I'm going to go ahead and select PA shot wheel, but we are going to cover other plays as well. I just want to show you guys there is a big bomb out of this that you guys need to be aware of that we will cover. So cover 6 show 4, your setup is going to be to reset because we have our match on. You're going to go ahead and pinch your D-line. Your coverage linebacker here to the left, you're going to put him in a man assignment to the number 2 receiver, and then you are going to put your slot on the right side, on the tight end side, and a man assignment to the tight end. Now finally, all you're going to do is just go ahead and shade inside. That's going to be wire triangle, then left on the right stick, like so. And then of course, when you're sending 3, you're going to want to blitz your user and then hover until he gets the green bars. That's going to make the game think you're sending 4. It's very important to know this. Now, this alone is really, really good. But against something like verticals, you're going to have good coverage off the bat, but then you guys are going to see more on the top end of the play. You're going to get this one-on-one with the guy, and he might stretch out and he might get open over the top. So real quick, I'm going to put my guy here in a coverage just so I don't get screamed at, and show you guys how number 2 can get open over the top against that safety or linebacker, however it's getting played. Just like this. I could have had a better freeform there. Shout out to Zach Thomas, but you guys see with the correct freeform being thrown, that receiver is going to get open. Now to counter this, what we can do is do our same exact setup here. So we're going to go ahead and reset to turn on our match coverage. We're going to pinch the D-line. We're going to go ahead and man up both players. We're going to shade inside. And finally, before you hover, you're going to go ahead and double tap Y and then put your free safety in a deep half assignment. That is going to cancel out the threat of that number 2 getting deep down the middle. So we can do the same exact setup here against the verticals approach and show you guys how this can be combated with Jesse Bates. You guys see, try and freeform this deep down the middle, and we have coverage there. So this can be really good. This is also really handy against the PA shot wheel, because the easy way to beat cover 6 is a simple setup here with streaking your number 2 and just putting your tight end on a trail. So if I came out here and just cover 6 and showed you guys it again without doing the deep half, something like this, you guys will see here Y is going to get open right over the top, like so. And again, that deep half assignment is also going to help counter that. Now, after I get rid of these bombs and show you guys these, we're going to get to the actual coverage, because not everybody's going to be trying to bomb you every play, but I wanted to get these out of the way. So one final setup with the shot wheel. If you do your deep half assignment, you need to know that the wheel here by our number 3 has potential to get open down the sideline. Okay, so all we're going to do again is going to be the same setup, where we're going to go ahead, reset our play, we're going to pinch, we're going to do our man assignments, and then we're going to go ahead and put our safety on a fade. But now all we can do instead is you can either man up your coverage linebacker with the B if you know they're going to run PA post shot, or if you guys have a disadvantage there, go ahead and man up your slot here with B, and you guys will have no problem stopping this bomb. So if I go ahead and do the same exact setup here, I'm going to get my user out of the play. Go ahead and show you guys this again. You guys are going to see this B that would traditionally get open as, okay, well right there he did get burned. Okay, you might want to individually shade him up. All right, I'm sorry. Okay, I got burnt. All right, but you guys are going to see this is typically going to do a really good job at helping you out. So I'll do this one more time just so we can go ahead and move on. Show you guys this setup here. Go ahead, man up, shade inside, and then we're going to go ahead and man up B, and then we're going to go ahead and manually back off and play him. Paired with the deep half, you guys are going to see right here, we're just typically not going to have a problem covering this. I don't know why we got bagged the one time, or got burned the one time, but just know this can be a good assignment to make if you know that's the approach they're going to go with their post shot. So now let's actually just go ahead and show you guys some other plays here. If I wanted to do something here with PA counter go, where I do a combination like this, as I did not mean to do that, let me go throw this away. But if I wanted to do a counter go setup where I want to put my running back on a streak to go ahead and pull some zone players, a combination like this and a drag, you guys see could potentially try and take advantage of the sideline here as I mess this up. So setup like this, and then I don't know, maybe we do something like this, try to attack both sidelines, right? With this setup out of the cover 6, we go ahead, reset, pinch, do our assignments, make sure you shade in. It's going to bag everything, right? Especially if you're sending through with your blitzed user. If you guys go ahead, look here, nothing is going to be relatively open at all. And what's so nice about this coverage is this pretty much goes for every single base play, honestly, in the formation. If I just go ahead and call, let's just say curl flat here, and I do the same setup. So I'll go reset, do the same setup I've mentioned 1,000 times that I'm kind of getting tired of hearing myself say. Shade in, and you guys see, go ahead, let that tight end go because he's manned up. And I mean, we're bagging everything right now. And then finally, if I wanted to show you guys something like let's see, maybe something with a setup like this. Perfect, like so. Just make sure you're shading in, helps a lot. And then you guys see, I mean, everything here is just completely covered right there. You know, the seam does, you know, have a linebacker against them, but just know that this can be really good coverage as well. So if you guys have a safety there, I know right now fatigue is going to be an issue for a little bit. It's most likely going to get patched. If it doesn't, I'm sorry. Okay, I didn't know any better. But just know this is something I like to mix in as well. And just because, you know, we're learning the matching principles and things like that, I still just really like zone coverage. Having to evolve with people running bunch strong, where if they send out the 4 receivers, it cancels out your match. I've just gotten so accustomed over the years to really just knowing zone. I love zone drops. That's typically what I'm playing majority of. But knowing these principles will only make you better, so they're incredibly important to know. So with that in mind, let me go ahead and just break down one more setup against the RPOs in case you guys are running up against that. And then we'll go ahead and move on to another formation. So I'll go ahead and go up here against the RPO zone alert. Now, this is going to be our zone blitz setup again. So remember, you're just going to go ahead, press, pinch, you're going to back off the right side slot. And then instead of putting LB, our safety here, in a zone against someone who I know is running an RPO, we're going to go ahead and man him up to the number 2. So it's going to look like this. We're going to put our user here, and then we're just going to go ahead and scrape left once they snap it. And then we're going to hope that the A gap gets through, and then we can go ahead and clean up with our user. Now, if you have an extra 1 AP to go ahead and help get yourself a flat zone KO, that's going to help even more, especially guarding the RPO. So I'll go ahead and show this to you guys now. Let's just go ahead and assume that they go ahead and force an RPO here. We can go ahead and scrape left, and then we can go ahead and play this with our user and then help out Devin Hester. If you have a zone or flat zone KO, it's going to help you even more. So again, I'll just go ahead and assume they're just going to run it here. They're just going to hand it off. We can go ahead and get to the outside and then help go ahead and clean this attack up for this run approach. And yeah, hope this helps, boys. Just know in general, we've talked about it on the Discord. Sometimes just manning up people can really help your RPO defense as well with how the offense is blocking you. So, you know, mixing it in, especially at the safety spot, is going to help your run fits as well. So hope this helps. Let's go ahead and move on to the next formation. All right, boys, now breaking down the 4-3 even 6-1, what I want to go over here is with this defense, I put lurk artist absolutely everywhere. So for your outside linebackers, typically, depending on how you have your roster set, I like to have middle linebackers there. So you guys see here, if I go ahead and look over my players, you guys see here at left outside linebacker, I have middle linebacker Zach Thomas. Here in the middle, obviously, Roquan Smith. And because I have enough outside linebackers, I'm going to go ahead and put Carmichael here on the right outside. Now, finally, what I'm going to do is I'm going to put outside linebackers here at DN with lurk artists. So right now, you guys see Pete Werner. He's not really a good pass rusher, not really a good run stopper. But because this is going to be a disengage type defense, we don't really need at all good pass rushing stats. You just want, you know, decent block shed. Same here goes for Josh Allen. This is a lurk artist outside linebacker. Not really known for their pass rush, but as long as they have decent block shed, I'm fine with that just for the run. And then, you know, like I said, all your pass rush is just going to come from the actual disengage. So, you know, I know a lot of people probably wouldn't like this. Honestly, this is going to be like the one time I say it on the channel. I don't care, because like this is what I run. I like it a lot. So just know I'm really confident in this. I like running it. Right now, I know currently with the fatigue glitch, these guys aren't going to do good. I understand that. I would only assume that that's going to get, you know, probably patched within a week and a half. If it doesn't, hey, I'm sorry, I was wrong. But, you know, as I've been running this throughout the year, I love this setup once I was able to do it. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get into it. Now, basically for this, I'm pretty much calling cover 4 all the time, and I adjust out of it. If you're running Patriots, you have cover 2. That's awesome. You can mix in really nice Mabel coverages. But because we are in the Chiefs, it's going to be cover 4 quarters. Again, here are the zone drops. Now, with this formation, I like to kind of notch up maybe my hooks to 25. You can probably leave them at 20. It's just something I do. I'll leave it at 20 just because. Now, the base defensive setup that you guys probably already know, I'm just going to cover it just in case you don't. I'm just going to select verticals here on offense. Is going to be to go ahead and pinch your D-line, crash them down, and hover. This is what everyone probably does, and then typically shade over the top so you get curl flats instead of quarter flats. And then once the offense snaps, you're praying for a disengage to come through from your 4 defensive linemen. Now, what I like to do, obviously, I like using the middle linebacker as well, but in a set like trips, this defense could get exposed playing like this. As you see, if we just do this, a simple, you know, snap throw to the seam is going to, you know, put you in good business. So what I like to do instead against certain defenses is I actually like to use the tight end side safety. So what we're going to do here is literally the same exact setup, but instead of hovering with the linebacker in the middle, we're going to go ahead and put him in a purple towards the strong side, and then we're going to go ahead and put the trip side purple on the outside linebacker in a hard flat. Because we have our zone set to 30, he's going to kind of hover back into the seam and try and play that vertical a little better than, let's say, a vertical hook would, or obviously the purple would. So if we try and snap through this against this light blue, you guys are going to see this lurk artist here is going to be in prime position, and the inside quarter on the trip side is going to be in prime position as well. Now, to give this a little more justice, I actually want to move this over. I don't know why I had that so short to the short side of the field, but just so you guys see, we can do this again, something like this, and then go to your hard flat, and then go ahead and pinch and crash down. And you guys are going to see we can go ahead and snap throw this like so. And right there, they snuck it in. Hey, good throw, good throw. If that's really a problem, you can bring this guy down a little bit, and then that will go ahead and correct it. But go ahead and show this to you guys again. If they try and snap throw this, for the most part, you're going to have a really good shot at either getting that lurk artist or just a simple break up there with your free safety. So just keep this in mind. If you really can't get that guy to jump at all, just know after you set it up, you can move him out and let go, and he will not retract back to the line. So that can help out, even if you wanted to do a vertical hook. But I like the cloud. I think it kind of plays the seam a little better than the other zone. So just know this is going to be a really good way to do it as well. And if I show this to you guys just one more time with the safety hovering, just know this will get through as well if I just hold on to the ball. So yeah, that's just something I like to do that not a lot of other players do, at least not to my knowledge. I haven't seen it done against me. I think playing with the safety is honestly, depending on what your opponent's doing, it can be extremely beneficial, especially if you just want to move this guy over and man him and do something like this. You can do this as well. So, you know, don't feel like you just have to use the zone to try and stop that. You know, mix it in, guys. Mix in what you guys know can work and take advantage of using that safety. With this defense, I do run just a lot of Mabel. I think it's really good for this defense. Obviously, something like this, you're going to get gashed in the seams. So that's why I would recommend maybe doing a setup like this and just kind of bringing that tight end or linebacker over and then hovering. I think that's going to help you a lot against trips where you guys can kind of, you know, go other places now in the field. And if that seam kind of late in the play is covered enough and you need more help over the middle, you can adjust and put this guy on a inside third, but I'd only do this if you're not running a Mabel and you're just, you know, doing a setup like this, you know what I mean? So just know this is an option as well. And then, like I was saying, when we have lurk artists here on the D line, it opens up so much with your coverage if you just want to mix in sending 3 and just blitzing your user. You know, typically I put the vert hook on the running back side, but you know, that's always going to be game specific and opponent specific. So if you need more help on this trip side or whatever side of whatever offense they're running, just know mixing in these lurk artists can help you out so much. But typically, you know, if you just want to know what I do, typically my vertical hook is going to be on that running back side, just so I have more support and I can play where I believe the opponent is looking more often. So hope this helps. Like I said, I know that the zones aren't specifically crazy in this setup, but it's really because I don't run it crazy. The craziest thing I do in 6-1 is just using the safety, and I even mix that in. You're going to see me, if you watch me play, I'm going to use this linebacker a ton. But once I know I got to adjust, I'll go ahead and use her with the safety instead. Other than that, I love cover 4 if I have the deep out KOs. And then as well, just simple Mabels. So go ahead and get your adjustments down, get comfortable with them here in practice if you guys are new to this, so you guys can timely and quickly get your cover 2 Mabels adjusted and set up ready to go. So when game time comes and you're in that game speed with that little bit of lag that's in every match, you're going to be ready to fire. So hope this helps, guys. And like I said, you know, if you are having success with just the cover 3 look or the cover 4 look, don't be afraid to put your free safety in the middle third and just kind of help float around. That linebacker there in the man coverage will help you enough. If it's not, try and just position him in a better state where he will not retract and kind of play that man a little better. If you're not getting, you know, enough pressure, as long as you're playing some coverage, your 3 down linemen will help get you some pressure. So hope it helps, boys. See you guys in the next one. And if you're trying to get more pressure than the 4-man disengage, obviously Sam will blitz can send just crazy pressure. If you are attempting to do something like this, it's very important when you're blitzing all out to really just have, in my opinion, your base areas of the field covered. That's why I think that just a stock cover 2 can be extremely effective with hard flats being played. So if we just kind of turned off our zone drops here by protecting the sticks or resetting our play, and we just send 6 here and just use her and let the cover 2 play like cover 2, you're going to get good pressure for the most part. Now, obviously, there's going to be weak points here. If, you know, they're trying to attack the seam here, if they were to, you know, put their tight end or something on a flat, you know, if they're playing double post, there's going to be weaknesses to this. So you're going to want to mix in how you're attacking. I know sometimes back when the 3-4 odd was a thing, or when it was mainstream, I know it still is if you know what you're doing, but when that was more common, I would literally just send 6 and then just play a pressed cover 4. And, you know, things like that are really good ways to generate pressure, especially when you are hovering extremely good with your user. But just know there's going to be weaknesses, but as long as you are blitzing heavy and you are truly covering, you know, the deep play or mixing in a cover 2 and having a good user down the middle with hard flats, that is how I would recommend sending the dogs and just making sure you're covering all bases to prevent a deep shot. I know some people, or a lot of people, would like to run this just manned up. You can. If you do, I would recommend pressing the lone side and then putting him on an outside third, something like this, and then just kind of, you know, maybe you're kind of weak with the running back wheel depending on how that's being manned, so you may want to user that yourself. I typically don't run man blitzes like this. I'd much rather run a screaming zone blitz, like the cover 4 and the cover 2 I was just talking about. But just know you guys can operate out of this. I'm not going to talk too much about man just because I don't run it, so I'm not even going to talk about it. But just know there's plenty of ways to mix in Hell, even a 5-man, and this is really good if you have a really solid, you know, tap on the lineman, and then you peel off. That could be extremely effective as well. I think Musty runs that, so I'm calling you out, Musty. I know what you're doing. We haven't even played, so shout out to the Discord boys. But that's pretty much going to be it for the 6-1, guys. I know I didn't really cover much in this section, but it's really because I don't think there's, in my opinion, too much to cover, because I run it really basic, and I have a lot of success, so I don't try and shake it up too much. If I need to run anything more advanced out of this, I'm just going to dollar or a dime or nickel set. So hope this helps, boys. Alright, boys, and before we wrap up part 1 of this, I wanted to go over how to counter the slot offset RPO meta that is currently just removing the hearts of gamers all around the globe. So all we're going to do for this setup, boys, is I accidentally backed out. So we're going to go ahead and have our auto flip on, and then we'll just do our auto alignment at default. Go ahead and turn on your match. We'll leave these guys at default. Just know you guys can do your reset play method like we talked about. So the play call against the slot offset is going to be cover 4 quarters. Now for this setup, guys, we're going to go ahead and break down the peak zone bubble, and we're going to go ahead and cover the read bubble to the opposite side, because typically if you're going up against one, pretty much going to go up against the other. So to start, we're going to go with the more commonly called one, the peak zone bubble. Now for this setup, guys, all we're going to be doing here is crashing our defensive line to the ball carrier side. So we're going to crash this to the left. Just in case they hand it off, we will have that covered. Now, finally, what we're going to do is put this linebacker here on the option side. We're going to man him up to the far side #1 receiver like so. And basically what happens here is if they hand the ball off left, we're going to have a clean gap shoot. And then if they go ahead and do the option throw, we're going to go ahead and get Peppers there free in the seam. So I'm going to go ahead and try and do this here with 2 controllers. Let me make sure I have the right one here. So I'm going to go ahead and try and snap this here. And if they hand it off, you guys are going to see we're going to have our user there to go ahead and shoot the gap. I'm sorry if this looks like super ugly. I really suck at the 2 controllers in the videos. I don't know how these other guys do it. God bless them. But again, you're just going to crash to the ball carrier side, and then you are going to put the man assignment on the opposite side. So if we go ahead and try to throw the option now, you guys are going to see we're not going to have any problem here getting Peppers in through the gap. Now, what's nice about this is if they go with the alternate option, where the option is coming from the right side running back, this is going to be golden, because what we have here is instead of doing the gap shoot, we're going to go ahead and just scrape to the left, because we're going to see that the running back from the right side is now motioning. So we can still do the crash left, because, you know, we don't know which one they're calling until it happens. So we're going to do the same setup here. But once we see that this running back is going, we're going to follow, and then we're going to go ahead and user that guy, user the swing back, while the manned up linebacker goes into the gap. So I'm going to go ahead and go into instant replay so I can better break this down. So once we see this tailback is swinging out, we're going to go ahead and follow that with the user. And then as you guys see here, if this guy was actually playing the game and he handed it off, this linebacker who's on the man assignment will actually run to his man assignment and then play the gaps like so, depending on where the user's going. So this man assignment can be really good for throwing off this blocker from picking up Peppers, and then it's also going to do a great job because he's basically going to go and haul ass to one of these gaps, either it be the left or right one. So I want to go ahead and show this with the handoff one more time before we wrap it up, because I think it's sweet. I think it looks dope. So again, this is going to be with the swing back going to the left. Go ahead, once you see that, user it, and then you guys see if we try and run through here, we're going to have that man assignment there to help us out. So again, listen, this is a really good run. They're going to probably stop you, you know, depending, or they're going to get some good yards time to time. But if you guys have any type of inside stuff or any type of ability, even if you want to, you know, pinch your line and things like that, they may affect your gap shoots, but just know that may help your run attack, or your run defense rather. And so yeah, that's going to be it for the setup. I just think this does a really solid job at covering both the peak option and the read option variant. So hope this helps, boys. All right, boys, and before we completely wrap it up, just wanted to say thank you all so much for watching. I know this was a longer video, longer guide, almost an hour long. Really appreciate the support. If you guys have any questions, if I did miss a certain player you're struggling against, just let me know either in the comments here on YouTube, or I'll put a Discord link in the comments as well, and you guys can join. You can ask me, you can talk to others. We have a lot of smart players in there, and for the most part, they're pretty friendly. I'm joking, but yeah, boys, thanks so much for watching. Thanks for supporting the channel. See you guys in the next one. Peace.